So the local affiliate in one place could have some button push somewhere. So the Dolby thing, what it does when it down mixes the music, it takes what's in the center channel, lowers it 3 dB and puts it in the left right. It takes the rears, though, it monos them, flips them out of phase, and then puts them 6 dB under your left to right. So if you try to get too fancy, I want my guitars to be really wide and feel like they're coming out the car windows, so I'm going to put them to the back a little bit. Well, now your down mix, think about it. Part of your guitar sound's getting monoed, flipped out of phase, and put back into your left right. So your guitar is going to get a little lower, a little thinner. So you have to, I'm not fancy. I'm more of like music left and right, little kick and bass in the sub. I've got reverbs and audience mics that go to the rears. And I don't do a lot of, if it's a track thing, I'll put a little track.
Because I imagine most people are, I'm sorry, finish what you were saying.
If it's something with just tracks and there's no live band or it's inside and there's no ambience, I might nudge, pan a little bit of the track towards the rears and put a little in the subs, in the LFE. But other than that, it's just ambience and verb. But yeah, everyone's listening in stereo. Everyone's listening
I would imagine,
on their iPads.
Especially on TVs.
I look at it as it's a morning show. It's 8:30 in the morning. People are getting their kids ready for school. It's on a little 20-inch LCD in their kitchen while they're making lunches or they're brushing their teeth or, so I mostly listen on a little set of Fostech speakers, to be honest with you. Whatever the little utility Fostech speakers you see everywhere that are cheap.
Right.
And a set of Wohler little rack mount TV speakers. And that's pretty much the majority of what I listen on after I get the kick and bass stuff happening at the low end.
Right, because you have to know how people are hearing it.
Yeah, and the mid-range will come out differently. I learned early on, like with rap, hip-hop sort of stuff, like hand claps, TV speakers are in that 1 to 3K range. So hand claps, they poke out, all the popular hi-hat stuff now, like the 808 hi-hat stuff that pokes out because it's
traps.
It's like right in that range. So, you have to be careful, sort of, especially because the voice is there too. So you don't want it to. And I made that mistake a few times, early on, especially. The energy felt good in the room, but, and the little guys, it was just eating up too much real estate.
Right. That's so interesting to have to really think about the iPad experience when you're mixing a song. Because I feel like we all know people are listening through iPads and their phones and stuff. But, it's like, okay, cool. We're going to make it sound as good as we can. So it'll sound on, hopefully headphones, at the average worst, you know what I mean? But people are listening to it. But the actual, because you're mixing for TV, like that is the purpose,
Yeah, and I just think, I think it's the reality. Everyone's talking about Atmos, and I think it's going to be really cool, and I don't know where it's going to go to.
I did want to ask you about that, by the way.
We're not doing it right now. It's something you would think I'd want to jump on, doing 5.1 for the last 15 years, and I'm excited to try it, but the thing that I'm not so sure of is my kids have never asked me for a speaker, let alone like 15 speakers. So I worry about that a little bit because they all listen on their iPads, most of the time, not even with earbuds, And then the other thing that makes me worry, and I know you can down mix it and there can be less speaker option and sound bars, but I just don't see HDTV, advertising hang speakers from your ceiling because it looks beautiful. So I just don't know where the market is in having that in the home unless you've got some money to build a room.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm excited to try it and do it, and I hope it takes off. It's going to be great. I just don't know what's the listener. I'm always focused on like what's the crappiest speaker because that's what people have.
Yes.
I don't have a really nice car, but I got the updated stereo in my okay car, and it sounds horrible. I spent money for the upgrade, and it sounds horrible. What are people that don't even care listening to? So to me, it's like, I got to make it sound good on the lowest thing, the worst thing. That's the reality.
Like the lowest common denominator. Yeah, listen, that's why I'm using my AirPods to as my reference outside of my room, like because I heard this on the Attack and Release show. Actually, somebody was saying like this is the number one headphones that everybody.
Yeah,
I'm blanking on the name of the person that said it, but everybody's listening on these headphones. This is the reference. Everyone has these.
That's the reality. That is. It's great.
Yeah.
I got nice speakers here and stuff, but if it doesn't sound good on those little things, I could be rocking my room at NBC and have the thing cranked up in surround sound and the sub cooking and everything feels great. But if it doesn't feel good on those little guys, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
exactly. I've been fighting that.
So it's almost
forever.
interesting. It's almost interesting that NBC is doing it in 5.1 when they know everyone's listening in stereo. Or like even I could dare to say that an iPad is like borderline mono, right?
Yeah. Well, what I end up doing actually is for anything not live on the web, it's actually my stereo down mix that I've mastered and then put out to the web. So they do care about
the stereo afterwards.
As well. Yeah.
So if you find something on YouTube, it'll be a stereo mix.
Well, if it was taken from us, if some fan, if some One Direction fan put a clip on, I don't know where it came from.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff up there that doesn't really represent what I've done or what my mix is because they pulled the HDMI thing, somehow pulled like the left channel only, and that's what's on.
Right, I understand.
There's a lot of variables when you put yourself into your mix into the world of that many people and that many different formats. It's bound to sound bad somewhere.
Yeah. Hey everyone, you may have heard me mention before that I recently started a Discord server for the podcast. If you want to join the conversation over there, you can find a link in the show notes or on the homepage of this podcast at secretsonics.co. In the coming days, I'm going to be sharing a sample pack there with some of my own personal samples that I use all the time in my productions. This pack will only ever be shared on the Secret Sonics Discord server, so I hope to see you there soon. All right, back to the episode. Yeah, it's so interesting because you've worked with so many artists and you've done so many, like just because of your job, it's like giving you this insane resume and reach, but like in a very specific kind of way. Like, I don't know, what looking back on this gig, what would you say are like some of the highlights and like, I don't know, greatest moments? Yeah,
I've had a lot of fun. It wasn't my initial thing that I was going to do in life, but I've had a lot of fun doing it. I've got to work with a lot of great artists. Robert Plant just will always stick out as being one of the coolest just because he was so nice and it's Robert Plant. I mean,
Hell yeah.
Aerosmith was really cool just because they're like rock stars. Steven Tyler's a rock star, man. That was like so rock and roll. Fleetwood Mac was really cool. I've been there for a lot of stuff that's been like really big. It's just not in like my listening wheelhouse. So I don't maybe get as excited, but like we did a Lady Gaga thing that was pretty crazy out in the pouring rain with like 20,000 people. And it was just like a really epic show. Like she just played to the rain and the whole thing. And it was like, that's one I'll never forget. God, there's been so many, you're sitting there and, one day you're mixing like Bad to the Bone, and you're like, I'm mixing Bad to the Bone to the day. Like today, this is crazy, and the next day you're mixing.
I grew up on this song.
Yeah. And then the next day you're doing Justin Bieber. The day after that, I'm hearing this song that I mixed in the supermarket and I know the lyrics and I don't even know why I know the lyrics. I'm like, what is this? Why do I know? I wouldn't listen to this song. What is this? Like, oh, I mixed this 2 days ago or something, So it's pretty cool. There's been summers with the concert series where the producers have just been like on the pulse of it. So it seems like whatever artist we have on is like the number one song that week. So it's kind of like you're just sort of part of this train that's going sometimes, and it's just like one after the other. And, it's hard to describe because it never ends. Like until COVID really happened, it was 10-year treadmill for me of 200 bands a year. And I just didn't take a break. Like I didn't get a break that whole time. So it was just.
Was that hard?
Yeah. Physically and mentally, it was like draining. Yeah. Sometimes you're just going and going and going, and there's just no break.
Have you been able to kind of like get your feet off the gas a little bit? Have you?
Yeah. COVID was an eye opener for me in that I just got to spend a lot of time at home with my family and, just to take a deep breath for a second and not have like my phone blowing up from a tour manager or this or that, and this situation needs to be resolved, or this just got booked, or this was booked inside, but the song's a hit now, and we want to move it outside. There's going to be a big crowd. You got to order everything, and just to stop like all of that and take a breath, and then kind of get back to originally when I built this space, it was going to be just for me to keep my chops up. I figured I'd come down, have a cup of coffee, and mix a song every morning from like an old hard drive or something, and I just realized taking a deep breath and getting to mix not in 53 minutes, my creativity and just, again, picking projects and stuff that I really care about and want to do. So yeah, it totally changed my perspective on things. And as we pick up again, how I'll go forward, I've definitely learned a few things.
Wow. So what does it look like? How many hours a day are you working for the Today Show, and how much time do you have to work on other projects in your studio?
I'm probably like a 16-hour-a-day guy, maybe maybe more some days. Depending on what I'm doing, I
hope you're eating well.
Yeah, not as good lately. I start my day at about 1:30 a.m. and it usually ends around 8 or 9 p.m.
How are you surviving?
I modify what David Lee Roth said, only I changed 70s to 90s, where I say I haven't slept since the 90s. Because it's pretty intense sometimes, but it's like, if you want to do this, this is what you got to do. If I want to make records and do TV, this is what I have to do. Because if I'm not going to do it, someone else will do it, and I want to do it. I just love what I do. I'm committed to what I do. It's tiring, but I try to fit it all in. I could be a lot worse. If I'm not working my butt off doing this, I'd have to work my butt off doing something I don't like. So
that is definitely true. Do you get weekends off, or is this like an everyday kind of thing?
From NBC, I don't work on the weekends, but yeah, I mix 7 days a week. Pretty much.
Wow.
I took off a couple of days around the holidays, but I think this year I pretty much worked from June to January. Like I just worked. It kind of didn't stop.
Oh my God.
A day here or there, but
well, you look pretty healthy over the Zoom cam.
Thanks.
Considering the work schedule. I guess you must be really hyped about what you're doing.
Yeah.
I wish I had that. I haven't had that kind of, I guess, energy drive, maybe since my 20s.
I'm working on a really cool song today. Yeah, today I'm having fun.
It gives you a buzz.
Yeah, right now I'm doing some, playing around with some arrangement stuff and doing that and trying to, get myself in the zone of it. I have fun. I'm just happy that I get to do this. I'm, the isolation of the lockdown and being someone who just mixes in a room all the time has really got me excited about like working with artists again. And I've been tracking again and working on projects. And I'm just so thrilled to be learning from talented musicians. I'm just excited to be in the room with them. And if I can help, I want to help. And if not, I can pretend to help and get to watch these guys. I'm doing the same thing I was doing when I was 15 years old. I'm listening to music in my basement. This is great. If I can help people make good music somehow, if I can help good people make good music somehow, it's a win-win.
That's the goal. That's the dream. Love it. Yeah. That's like such a healthy attitude of just like, I'm in this because I love this and I've been in it for so long, and it's just like, I don't know, it's like the love of the music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just keeps the fire going.
I thought, like, what else would I do? I tried different things, and it's like, I can't sell anything. I only know how to sell my skills. I only know how to sell my love of music, and, hopefully someone will pay for it so I can keep doing this. I couldn't sell a house or a car or a product. It doesn't, I don't have a connection to it like I do with music. So it's just very exciting. It's just a personal thing. I'm just really into it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I do want to ask you, like, just all this, like, the speed mixing, all that stuff, working with NBC.
Sure.
How has that kind of influenced your work in the studio when you have time to do it, and with the artists that you're working with now?
I still try to build a mix pretty fast. Like even if I'm gonna work on a mix for 3 days, I probably